What are your thoughts on Scott Steiner? What was he like behind the
Oh,
scenes?
those Steiner boys. Scott's cool.
Right.
He really is. I think his gimmick is tremendous. I was just in England with him. We did a tour there, and he cut some of the strongest, funniest promos I'd ever heard. And just that, being down with the brothers, hip hop. He always tells me that I'm the whitest black guy he's ever met. But Scott's cool. He's cool. The reputation that he developed in the early years, teaming with Rick and just killing guys, it still lingers in the minds of a lot of the boys. But the difference between Scott and Rick is that Scott is just so intense in everything that he does. You can tell he's intense in his training just by looking at his physique. He's constantly on a diet. I've never seen a human being eat more apples than him. He just eats. For some reason, I'm not sure if it's some kind of carbs he gets from it or whatever the deal is, but he just eats. Trains every day. He's just intense. He's not really a party guy at all. He doesn't go out much, but cool guy. But the difference is he won't mess with you unless you mess with him.
Right.
Whereas Rick Steiner, you could be on the other side of the room. He'll come over and look. And Rick's okay too, but he's just so mean at times. One day I actually asked Rick, "How come you're so mean?" And he looked at me. He goes, "I don't know. I'm just mean." But both great wrestlers and made a hell of a name for themselves in Japan, which is the best place in the world to make a name for yourself in wrestling. And they've been around for years.
Did you think that Eric Bischoff was going to buy WCW? Or?
I knew that he couldn't do it personally, but I felt that he was smart enough and had the connections to get backers to put up the money. But at that point, I didn't know if it would have been the best interest for the company, because he was there and he had failed, and he was there and he had failed, and he was there and he had failed, and people give him credit for bringing WCW to the top of the mountain. And I would have to spread the credit out a little bit, because I think Scott Hall and Kevin Nash had a lot to do with it. I mean, a lot to do with it. Hogan has his part to do with it too, but I just believe that Scott Hall and Nash were a big influence on the strength of World Championship Wrestling at that time. And that whole gimmick with the outsiders was just huge and impacted the business in a way that has never been done before, and most probably never will be done. Today's Sunday. Was it the 18th, and they're having a pay-per-view today, which is, they've rejoined the guys. So it'll be interesting to see how they revamp the idea to make it fresh, but it's going to be very hard to outdo what they've done in the past.
A lot of people think that maybe in 6 months the business might be dead because they're going to run out of ideas. So
could be.
Wait and see.
Could be.
As far as when the guys first heard about the WWF buying WCW, what was the vibe in the locker room like? Did a lot of guys think that Vince was going to pick up their contracts?
I personally knew that I had a clause in my contract stating that if the company was sold, or if a lot of things happened, they had the right to terminate my contract within 90 days. So I also felt a little bit that I stood a very good chance of being picked up. Rumors were that McMahon wasn't interested in any guys who were making $1 million or more, because he couldn't afford them.
Right.
And there's no secret, I was making nowhere near $1 million. So I felt that I was young enough. I thought the gimmick that I had at the time would be a hit there, and coupled with the fact that I wasn't making that much. So I thought that I would have been one of the guys that would have been picked up, and it didn't happen. I think that a lot of the guys who were older feared that they wouldn't be picked up, because Vince McMahon doesn't make it a tendency to hire guys who are in their 40s and 50s unless you're Kevin Nash or Hulk Hogan. I also feel that guys who had burned the bridge there before, Luger, I heard, maybe Bret Hart, the heat that he has with Bret,
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. But this is a business, okay? And right now, Vince's ratings are very, very low. And if Vince McMahon felt that he could bring up the ratings, bring up business by having Lex Luger back, Jeff Jarrett, and Bret Hart, I feel that he'd hire them like that, because it's a big business.
Definitely.
He doesn't have to like them. He doesn't have to eat with them. He doesn't have to go on vacation with them. It's a business. If it's beneficial for for him to bring them back, and they can be paid in the meantime, he'll do it.
What are your memories of the final Nitro and when Shane McMahon came?
I was in Mexico.
Okay, so
I was there, but you know, I called Kidman. I think I spoke to Stacy Keibler, and they both told me that Shane McMahon expressed the fact that everybody would be given a chance.
Right.
So I just felt at that time that was all I needed was a chance. And if I was given a chance, that I could make the best of it and be hired, but I was never given a chance. I feel that a lot of guys weren't given a chance. Some of the guys may have been sent to a developmental deal, but in retrospect, those guys neither were given a chance.
What are your thoughts on the Invasion angle when they first came in to WWF?
I thought the idea was good, but they needed more name recognition. Yeah, they needed a Goldberg, a Steiner, a Kevin Nash, a Scott Hall, a Ric Flair. It was tough to do with a lot of guys like Mike Awesome, who still had been wrestling there for like I believe a year and a half or so, and a Lance Storm, but weren't really considered WCW guys because they spent so much time in ECW, and people didn't care. I mean, great workers, but great workers is not what sells tickets. It's name recognition. And when you have, which Triple H was out at the time, but when you have Austin, Rock, Kane, Taker, and then you have Lance Storm, Mike Awesome, Hugh Morris, it's kind of outmatched. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was somewhat of an angle that was determined to fail from the beginning, unless they could get the big guys, which some of the big guys were sitting on guaranteed deals, which were going to be paid for another 6 or 7 months. And I guess some of the guys were, I'm not sure what Diamond Dallas Page's stand on it was at that time, but I don't believe that he was involved, and Booker was ever, I don't think he got involved either. But it was just tough. It was tough. But I thought it was a very good twist when they added ECW to
right.
it.
That's when it worked.
That was a great twist, but apparently it wasn't that good of a twist because it didn't work out.
All right. Uh-huh. As far as WWF, did they have anybody contact you, like Jim Ross or anybody?
No. I emailed Jim Ross. He was nice enough to return the email and told me, maybe you can tell me what this means. In order for a wrestler to be hired, our writers have to come up with a character and an angle for the wrestler, which I thought, okay, makes somewhat sense. But when they had guys like D'Lo Brown, Val Venus, Steve Blackman, The Godfather, that were still getting paid and they're doing absolutely nothing, I'm thinking to myself, why are their writers going to take time out to come up with a gimmick for me when they got all those guys sitting at home doing nothing, who they're paying?
Right. And your gimmick is pretty much already established, so they could have just brought you in. And
so I just figured in a roundabout way, he was telling us, Norman, we're not interested, which was fine because due to the fact that I spent so much time in Mexico, I was able to go back there and start working again.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.